Well, welcome back to the Drive channel. It's been a long winter. I've been anxious to get out and drive and also to get out and wrench. So today I'm going to be doing a little bit of preventive maintenance on this LR2, aka the Freelander 2. I'm going to be replacing the water pump and the belt and idler and the tensioner. So stick with me and we'll get that done today. Oh, and real quick, here's what we bought. The new belt, idler. This is the water pump. Now the interesting thing about the water pump with this car is that it actually bolts into the block and it does all of its work inside the block. So rather than having hoses that go to it, it actually moves the coolant and the water around inside the block. And this is the gasket for it. I've been getting a little bit of a leak from that area, so I suspect that it's just a bad water pump. Luckily, it hasn't been enough to strand me. This particular one comes with extra screws and nuts and bolts, and here's your tensioner here. Now, it may be interesting to know that the tensioner is the same on the idler is the same on the tensioner as it is on the block. So if you want to just replace this, you could just buy another tensioner and replace this by itself. But I'm doing the whole thing today. Right, so the first thing that we have to do is remove this cover. So that's easy enough. Job done. And then the next thing we're going to do is remove this cover. Again, very easy. I have to take out the battery, which as you can see is being held down right now because I don't use the correct battery that correctly fits. I have to kind of hold it down with these zip ties. It actually works pretty well, but I have to remove the battery box, and then I have to remove the intake box here. That way I can get to the belt and the tensioner and the water pump, which is actually down there, which you can't see. So that's the power steering pump right there, and it's actually facing, you can see the belt on it, there's the idler, and it's actually facing the water pump, which is so flush with the block that you almost don't even know it's there, but it's there. It's on the other side of the power steering pump, and so I got to work at first. All right, so I have removed the belt there. Just so you know, the way that you remove the tension is you need a 19 mil, and you have to put it right on this little thing over here and then bend down. So you can see just where I have a wrench on it, that's 19 mil, and you just have to bend it down, and that allows you to remove the belt. So now it's a question of what do I do first? I think I'll probably take the compressor out. That's just a couple of bolts here, and I think one other over here, and then I'll worry about the pump for the power steering. So we'll go from there. All right, so now the compressor is out. There's actually a couple more bolts on this than I thought. It's not 3, it's actually 4. So they're over here. I also removed the bracket. This bracket here sits on top of the engine, and you're just never going to be able to move this thing until that bracket is removed. So that's out. And with that out, now we can take a better look at what we have going on here. So you have, this is actually the drive from the engine, so that doesn't go anywhere. Here's the tensioner, which is going to have to be replaced. And there's the idle that I showed you before. And then this is going to be the fun part, which is removing the power steering pump from the water pump behind it. And so, guys, I just noticed something as I got closer to the belt. Look at the condition of that belt. That is not good. So I think my spidey senses were correct when I started thinking, like, you know, I've had this car since 2016, and since then I have never replaced a belt. I've never replaced a single idler or water pump or anything on the car. Bought it at 115 and it has 155 now, so I've personally put 40,000 miles on it. So yeah, I'd say it's probably time to replace this belt, certainly. But I'm also going to replace, obviously, the tensioner and the idler and the water pump. Now, the water pump is, like I said, attached. There's little screws here and another one on the other side. That's actually what holds it to the face of the water pump. But obviously, there's a bolt here and another bolt over here, which in this car is very dirty, and one back there that has to be removed to actually move this pump. And I'm hoping that I can move it enough out of the way so that it's so I can work in there. But we're gonna find out one way or another. Okay, so here it is with the tensioner removed. Now there's a screw over here. I was wrong. I thought all you have to do is actually back this. I thought you had to remove this whole bracket here, but actually you just have to back off this this screw here, because the tensioner is also not bolted to the block. It's actually facing the block, and it's on this here bracket, which also doubles as a bracket that holds the air conditioning compressor. The compressor. So that's all you have to do is just remove this one thing, and then the whole tensioner comes right out. And there's the tensioner. And oh, listen to that. Let me put my microphone close to it. Yeah, that's not supposed to sound like that. It's supposed to be completely silent. So that was on its way out. So it's a good thing I'm replacing that as well. Okay, so now I have this removed and just kind of pulled back the pump for the power steering, and I'm starting to get to work on the screws. So as you can see, there's one that is removed and another that I just loosened, and there's another one just down there, which I also loosened. A couple more around the corner. There's 6 in total, so it is a bit of a pain because there's a lot of them. But that's where I am right now. So not the worst thing in the world, but still not exactly easy to get to. So you need a really small. They're 10 millimeters, and you need a really small wrench like this. So you need a little guy like that, and that'll definitely be helpful. It also, for the ones in the back, you can actually reach behind the engine and use a little ratcheting wrench, closed-end wrench. All right, so things are back in. I have the new belt in there. The new tensioner is in. New tensioner. And there's the old, well, that's the new belt. That's the pump, and that is in. There's this little bracket over here, which I removed before, so that's back in. There's another bracket over here, which was also removed. It looks like that's tightened up. So, and then you know, down there you have to tighten it. You have to loosen it down there, and then loosen it up here. Remove this bracket, and then there's a bolt down here. Bolt down there, and then another one which you can't see. It's on the other side. It's very hard to get to, but it goes in this direction towards the engine. So those are back in. One of the things that you can do is you can reach over the engine to get to them. So it's one of those things that hopefully if you have long arms you could do that. And so the next step is to put the compressor back in, but it's very important to remember, don't forget to plug these 2 plugs. I don't know why it has 2 plugs, but it has 2 plugs, and each is different. You see, one has 1 and the other has 2, so there should be no way to mix these up. But the worst thing you can do is just forget to put them on, because then you'll have no air conditioning. So I'm going to put those up and put this back in, and we'll see what happens. Oh, and then last but not least, I believe this pin here. You see this little pin? Looks like an Allen wrench that somebody stuck in there. I pull that last because what it's doing is it's actually keeping the tensioner open. So I don't have to install while also simultaneously pulling this thing down. That's a very helpful thing. So here we go. All right, so that's back in. There's a new belt. Everything looks good. I was able to plug in everything from below. Actually, I thought it was. I found it to be a little bit easier than I expected to plug this thing back in. But getting those two little harnesses off of there was way more difficult than putting them back on again, because you don't really need to see it. You just could feel your way. And next step is battery box, and then the air box, and I should be good to go. All right, so there you have it. My first wrenching project of 2024, a successful one. I just drove the car and it's raining now, so I didn't really do any in-car, but it's running. It seems to be holding the coolant, and yeah, to not to beat a dead horse, but the belt was really, really bad, and both the idler on the tensioner and also the other idler were really, really making a lot of noise. So I did the right thing at the right time. So stay tuned for more videos. I'm going to be working more on the 355 behind me, and hopefully if the weather gets a little bit warmer, we'll be doing that sooner rather than later. And in the meantime, I'll see you in the next video.